All right, well, today Anthropic released apparently the most powerful AI model the public has ever been allowed to touch. It's called Fable 5, and it is a version of Mythos, the model that Anthropic said was too dangerous to release to the public back in April. AI internet is probably about to blow up with these "this changes everything" type posts, but for most of us, spoiler, it's probably total overkill. So in this video, I'm going to show you what Fable 5 is, how it's different from Opus 4.8, and whether it's worth your time before it stops being free on June 22nd. And then finally, at the end, we'll do a live build to see how good Fable 5 really is in action. Not wasting any more time, let's dive right in, and rather than scroll through Anthropic's announcement line by line, I put together a little interactive presentation of what caught my attention and what's actually relevant to you, which, by the way, I had Fable 5 design this, so if anything looks like AI slop, just blame Fable 5, obviously not my fault. But back in April, Anthropic launched a model called Mythos Preview, which you're probably familiar with, and they only made it available to a handful of hand-picked partners through a project called Project Glasswing, and they showed off all these demos of how incredibly capable it was, mainly in finding security vulnerabilities, but they said it was too dangerous to release to the public. You like this "too dangerous" here, by the way? That's nice little Fable 5, really wanted to emphasize that. Honestly, this is a one-shot output too of this entire presentation, so it did a pretty good job. It did much better than Opus 4.8 just in terms of presentation design. We'll get into all the use cases in a second. Anyway, back to the comparison of Mythos 5 and Fable 5. So today, these Mythos 5 restrictions to the public have finally changed. Sort of. So Anthropic just dropped two new models in that same Mythos tier. The first is Mythos 5, which is an even bigger step up from Mythos Preview, which again was released in April, and it's still locked to those Project Glasswing partners. So that's not available to the public. The second one is Fable 5, which is available to us. So Fable 5 is that same Mythos model, just with safety guardrails bolted on, which are basically filters that stop it from helping with things like cyber attacks. So Fable 5 and Mythos 5 are the same model underneath, more or less. That is why Anthropic is listing them together on their own benchmarks. We look at those. Mythos 5, Fable 5. To connect it yourself, it's super easy to do. So let's go ahead and just do that now. I have cursor open here. You can see the announcement, meet Fable 5, our newest model for complex long-running work. Try anytime with /model, so we just go /model, select Fable, and just like that, we are on Fable 5. And it's included right now on every paid subscription, so Pro, Max, Team, Enterprise, although given how token intensive it is, you probably won't get much use out of it on a Pro account, which leads us straight into the first big caveat. It's only available on your subscription until June 21st. Then it will switch to usage credits, which I'll talk more about later on. So is Fable 5 actually as good as everyone's saying it is? Judging by the benchmarks, yes, but with a couple real caveats. The first is myself and a lot of folks just don't trust these benchmarks as much as we used to because they're so gameable, specifically SweBench. So I'm just skipping right past that. But if you strip out the hype, here's what the rest of this really means to you. So by the way, we're just going through these benchmarks here, just a better visual, which by the way, Fable 5, crushing it so far. This is the first time I'm seeing this. Look at these little moving bars here. Great job. First up, the everyday work you'd actually do. So knowledge work and computer use. If we just go back to the benchmarks because I want to actually show these numbers. Not much of a change here. 1932 versus 1890, 85% in computer use versus 83.4%. Go back to my better looking chart here. Now, the one place this jump is massive is cybersecurity, which no surprise, this is exactly what the model is built for. But unless you're, I don't know, a cybersecurity researcher, or if you're, I don't know, patching security vulnerabilities in your vibe coded app, I don't see much use in that. Not much would be touching your day-to-day in a cybersecurity sense. The one real exception that matters though is coding. And on the harder coding tasks, Fable 5 is roughly twice as good as Opus 4.8. Like, that is just a crazy jump. Sorry to keep going back to the numbers, but Fable 5, my designer didn't include these numbers in the presentation, so I got to zoom in on this. But agentic coding frontier code, 13.4% from Opus 4.8, 29.3% from Mythos. So pretty darn impressive of a leap, which is useful if you're vibe coding a complex app, if you're trying to one-shot something, if you're trying to refactor code, if you're trying to do a massive code migration. This could be incredibly useful, which we'll be testing with a live demo here in a second. But of course, all of this assumes you can actually afford to run it, and that is where the shine starts to wear off. And it wears off fast for two reasons. First, how much it costs, and second, how fast it actually burns through tokens. So Fable runs about twice the price of Opus 4.8. So $5 per million input token, $10 on Fable 5, and then $25 per million output token, and then $50 on Fable 5, which I guess if you're paying for twice the capability, makes sense to be paying twice the cost. But that is a big jump, especially after June 21st, when you start to use this on your usage credits. This is going to add up really quick. And, you know, just a random aside, but you really got to respect the move by Anthropic, releasing a model twice as good as your last one, giving it away just long enough to get everyone hooked, like any good drug dealer, then start charging the minute you're addicted. Anyway, the real question isn't whether it's good, it's whether is this actually worth it. And the only honest way to answer this is just run it once. So let's do a real build, start to finish, and I'll show you the token usage at the very end. And for this demo, we're going to have fun with it. You know, Anthropic was having fun with their demos. I actually really did appreciate some of these. It wasn't like boring tasks, which can be useful and tactical, but they talked about it playing like Pokemon games, it simulating the solar system and predicting a solar eclipse. Pretty cool little visual there. There's it playing Pokemon. Oh, they took that down. Not sure why. And then they had a bunch of other examples here, like just it playing video games nonstop. So it using its vision and intelligence. And then this one was pretty cool too. This is a CAD, like almost Blender, it making its own version of Blender and then having an ability to chat with it. It's like a lovable and a Blender combined. And then this, I didn't really know what was going on with it, but it looked really cool. So we're going to have fun with these demos too. And I'm going to give Fable one prompt. I'm not going to give any image references or anything like that. But what we're going to do is ask it to build a fully playable roller coaster tycoon game in a single shot. Let's see how it does. So we'll go over to cursor and paste in this prompt and just show you what the prompt is. Build me a complete playable roller coaster tycoon style theme park management game in a self-contained HTML file. No external dependencies, core requirements, grid-based park I can build on. I can lay down paths, place ride shops, guests walk in this, ride attractions, a working economy, classic pixel sim, visual style. Plan it out first. So let's go plan mode to really get this thing humming. This is probably going to take hours, but it'll be a good test. Well, it builds too. Fun fact, Roller Coaster Tycoon was built almost entirely by one person, and it's still considered one of the most impressive low-level coding feats in gaming history. We'll see how Fable can match up. And in about 36 minutes, there's also about 10 minutes of planning, so a little over 45 minutes of coding. Here's Fable 5's one-shot output of the Roller Coaster Tycoon demo. So we'll go to this link here. All right, Pixel Perfect Tycoon, Pixel Park Tycoon, park rating, greater than 600, how to play, pick the tools, place rides and shops, the coaster tool builds a custom roller coaster piece by piece, park button sets the entry fee, controls, all right, let's open the park. Okay, got kind of this infinite canvas park builder, pretty cool. Where are the controls? Oh, there they are, at the bottom here. Okay, path, I can add a path here. Let's add a burger stand. Burger stand's in there. We just got to get the path to the burger stand complete. Okay. What else? Let's get a Ferris wheel in here. Nice. Path. I don't know where all the people are. I guess I need to hit this play button maybe. Okay, there we go. All right, now the people are starting to come in. There they come. Let's put in a soda stand too. Teacup. Wow, this is impressive. Okay, let's look at the roller coaster, the actual builder. So, all right, build out the roller coaster. Okay, so we have this little pop-up here, coaster builder, left, ahead, right. So if I just go and I can place it again. So I go ahead, 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 and then up, up, up again. We'll go right, right, down, down. Oh, can't do that. Left, ahead, up. Like, this is so impressive. Good God. Like, it is building a full roller coaster. I don't know how to complete this, but close loop. Oh, I need to go back. Okay. Left. Gotta go up. Nope. Undo. Maximum track height reached. Down. I mean, just need to have Fable 5 actually use its vision to make this roller coaster. But this is pretty darn impressive. This is a full roller coaster tycoon. Now the graphics could use a little bit of work, but like this is friggin' working in literally one shot. So let's go back. I just want to have Claude finish this up. Nicely done. Now, can you use your vision to just create the park? You can delete some of my stuff. I don't really know how to play this game, but can you create the roller coaster? And then while it does that, I was looking at usage earlier. So it took about 45 minutes. And then if we look at actual token costs and usage, so that single session, 45 minutes, used about 13% of my max plan usage. And the cost, I don't know where the cost went. I saw cost earlier at $18. I forgot I screenshotted this usage, so it's $19 total cost. So that's likely what I would have paid in usage credits, which is quite a bit, especially if you're token maxing. You could easily get to hundreds of dollars a day after this June 21st cutoff. So, I mean, overall, pretty impressive from this demo. Also, check out what Claude just did when I asked it to build out further. Good vision, made that roller coaster humming. We're at 22 grand. Wow, we even have, this is crazy. There's little people talking. There's little messages. Haunted House was great. Insane. Well freaking done. So overall, pretty darn impressive from this one demo. I still think that in your day-to-day to be using Fable 5 is pretty crazy. It's just going to be overkill. But to even see this level of capability is pretty fun. So start hammering those builds now, get your, refactors out of the way, start building that app you've been sitting on, because after June 22nd, all of that gets a lot more expensive. And this is just one demo too. I will be putting together a follow-up video where I run Fable 5 and Opus 4.8 head-to-head and a bunch of different real-world building tests. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you can catch that one. And happy building for the next 12 days. I'll see you in the next one.